Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Tony's Show, and today I'm going to be all over. I got a lot of stuff posted on my Podbean, where I put all the links, so I pay attention to a lot of different things. Let's think today about what I had heard 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and a lot of people are just discovering today. It kind of astounds me in a way, but better late than never. But it kind of astounds me because this information has been out there for so long. At the level where we're at right now in fighting this war, this undeclared war in mankind, it's good that people are getting to know this stuff. It's bad it's taking this long. But anyway, I get a lot of emails, and I try to answer as many as I can. Sometimes I just can't get to everybody. I try to. Like right now, I'm about 170 emails behind. And then son came by tonight. We're talking about Twitch. He said, "Well, you got to be doing that on a regular basis." I says, "Hell, I got no sleep now." I says, "There'd be no way I could do this. I have to give something major in order for me to do that Twitch." But anyway, the events are unfolding in front of us. It's almost like a parallel's running. Like I'm on Wimkin's side, you will see that the medical field are panicking right now that the coronavirus is going to die out before they can get the vaccines up. And they're passing all kinds of legislation right now to make sure that you have to have a shot. China has got in there and said, "Hey, we need to quarantine the planet, but we need something to centralize everything under, so that it's easier to get people through." And it's amazing. China's hardly doing anything anymore. You see the odd thing, they're testing this community or that community, but in all general reality, they're not doing much. Matter of fact, they're not masking. They're not even social distancing. I don't know how can you social distance in China? Anybody ever think about that? You got 1.3 billion to 1.5 billion, and somewhere in between there, we got that many people and a certain amount of land mass that's developed. How do you social distance that? How does that get done? I mean, if you got a sidewalk that's 20 feet wide, there's no way you could social distance. You got too many people. They didn't have television for a long time, and they didn't have hockey either. I seriously think that this coronavirus, they brought it on so that the hockey would no longer be shown on television, and that Canadians would start making more babies. This is my hypothesis here, my opinion. I think this whole thing's a scam so that Canadians won't be able to watch TV anymore. They'll actually, have a pastime in making babies. That's what I'm thinking. Just imagine the women now. No. Then I find out today, actually yesterday, Canada is the most in-debt country in the world. Did you know that? Canada has surpassed the United States, has surpassed Japan. We are the number one broke-bent country in the world right now in the G7. We got the highest debt rate for the government. We have the highest debt rate for corporations. And guess what? Who caused all that? Guess who caused all that? Take a guess. Let's take a look at Ottawa. Ottawa caused all this. I remember when Alberta, before all this bullshit happened, was asking Ottawa to give them the money they needed to expand the oil, and they said no. And they had to have to ask Quebec, like that's going to happen. And so they shot a golden opportunity to, again, keep them out of the red, or at least in the pink. And all the social programs that we have going on right now in Canada are being tapped into by the pensions. And what's also draining the country dry is bringing in immigrants into the country, whereby we don't have jobs for our own Canadians that live in the land. We're going to bring people from outside to come in and work. How does that work exactly? I'm not against immigration, don't get me wrong. I'm all for immigration. But I'm also for immigration, a sensible immigration. I got I got people I know who aren't Asian, who aren't from the Middle East, who don't have a lighter shade of skin tone. And I'm not being racist here. I'm just stating the fact. Canadians, and our Canadians of all shades and colors and tones and ethnicities. So I'm talking about now foreigners coming in who are now coming in, stepping in, and getting those benefits that really should be going to Canadians. Nobody wants to see someone making $40,000 a year on the social program. Nobody wants to see that, And in fact, there's no incentive to get off the social program. If I was making $40,000 a year collecting a welfare or social assistance, as we're going to be politely calling it, why would I even think about starting a business? Because I have no incentive. My belly's full. I'm content. I can buy a brand new car. The government will pay for it. I'm living a life. Why should I work? Okay, no incentive. And work is overrated. I got to tell you that too. Work is way overrated. I think people need to be more autonomous, more entrepreneurial. That's where the money really is. If you really want to know where the money really is, the money's really in being enterprising. And employing people, and then also assisting them, and also becoming a free enterprise. See, this is how economies grow. See, if I help you become autonomous, now I have somebody else who's also autonomous that now I will support by buying their product or rendering their services. Now they too will send people my way for the same thing, because for rendering my services or selling whatever. And everybody's by word of mouth can build a small community of business people or entrepreneurs that are supporting each other. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a real good example. Susan Summers is sending people down to Mexico to get cancer treatments. Well, that clinic that she's sending them down to, it's pure bullshit, all of it. And that person went down there and died, from it. Anyway, the way it works is they got a clinic. So you go see a doctor about your cancer. He sends you to a dentist. The dentist sends you to the x-ray technician. The x-ray technician sends you to the pharmacy. The pharmacy each one of those guys in that office are sending people to the different practices. So they all benefit. Now, mind you, if it actually worked, it would be a great benefit. But the majority of them doesn't work. Only a small percentages are coming out. They're using the same methodologies they used to use back in the 1950s to knock out cancer. It's a bit of a barbaric thing that they do. Anyway, long story short, just trying to make a point here. So let's say I'm here in Windsor, and people want to start a business. So I say, okay, let me help you out. What you're trying to do? I'll post you on my show. I'll advertise you on my website. I'll talk to you about. I'll put you on my BitChute. I'll promote you. I'll let everybody know you're in business. People listen to my show, say, okay, let me support this guy, just like everyone's supporting Pure Bulk right now, because Pure Bulk is giving you 10%, and through the show, you're calling in, and it helps me out, because now I can get supplies from them, and the kickback I get from them, which is not a lot, but it's enough to help me buy supplies without me having to go out of pocket, which makes it easier for me to keep my prices lower. See, everything works around. You support them, they support me, I support you. So you got that triangle thing going. It's really cool. So let's say you're trying to start a business. Now I'm advocating you. You're advocating me. I got you on my webpage. You got me on your webpage. Everybody's advocating everybody. And now we build a community. So let's say from here to Toronto, we got Windsor, we got Chatham, we got Blenheim, we got Wallaceburg, we got, all points between Wallaceburg and Sarnia, all points between Sarnia and London, Woodstock, Ingersoll, all the way up between there in Guelph, and Guelph to Kitchener, and Kitchener to Milton, and Milton to Toronto, so on and so on. So everybody is building everybody up right along Ontario. And then we get friends of ours, let's say in Manitoba or in Montreal or Quebec or wherever, And so we start telling everybody about these places in those respective areas. All of a sudden, we got a network going on, and a big one. And that brings a steady flow of prosperity to everybody, because everybody is promoting everybody. Okay, I've been doing that for years here, and it has been very effective. Even people I compete with here, if I don't have a product, I actually send them to my competition, believe it or not, and they do the same. We don't see it as a competition. What we see it as is keeping the business in the local area, So they're not going online or going somewhere else to spend their money. They're keeping the money in the community. Like I said, it makes for a good, prosperous solution. And it works quite well. And you get a cooperative going. And everybody's on the first name basis, and everyone is, like I said, helping each other out. I help people out with their health. Sometimes if they're active, I don't charge them anything. Sometimes I barter. I got a friend of mine who's a guy with computers, so he asks me for questions with health. I help him out. Helps me out with my tech. I got a couple tech guys that help me out. Actually, that's how we work it out. So like I said, and then you get that bartering thing going as well in between. So there's a lot of perks and benefits of being an entrepreneur. Being a slave, there's no benefit really. You just you get a paycheck. You got a place to go. But what happens to your brain? Your brain becomes vegetated. Then you become stupefied by watching the television. Then you become even more stupefied by some of the people you associate with because they don't have a brain either. All they know how to do is follow the program just like you. And so I'm presenting this because with what's going on right now, like I said, we all have to have a plan B, because if this can't be stopped, if we can't at least put a dent or slow it down or put the skids on this, then this is why I tell everybody get a ham radio, because okay, we can get each other's phone numbers and get each other's emails, but if they knock down that part of the grid as well, then how are you going to communicate with each other? How are you going to talk to each other? How are you going to stand together? It's important that we maintain the lines of communication unless somebody else has a better way of doing it. I'm all for listening and getting the suggestions. So if you have a better way of keeping in touch with everybody, snail mail ain't going to work that well. Snail mail is already becoming overloaded with the Amazons, and because people are doing more online ordering now because you don't want to have to deal with going into a store and having to put up with the bullshit in the stores. Speaking of bullshit, it seems like we're living in the age of bullshit. I got to tell you. What age did you grow up in? I grew up in the age of bullshit. Wow. How was that like? It was all bullshit, gotta tell you. All we heard was bullshit. If someone said the truth, we wouldn't believe actually somebody spoke the truth. That's how much bullshit we were fed. A friend of mine went into a grocery store today. She sent me an email. And so the customer service agent walked up to her and said, ma'am, where's your mask? She says, well, was on my rights? I'm not wearing one. I got a health condition. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm exempt. She said, well, people over there are scared. She was polite. She says, well, it wasn't my rights. I'm going to do as I choose. I would have said something a little differently. My retort would have been, sorry to be them, Sorry to be you. You're afraid? Woohoo! Sorry to be you. Anyway, I would have had that. I would have been more that way. I said, sorry to be them. If they're afraid. And I would have then said to the guy, and please do me a favor, don't stand 6 meters away from me. Stand 9 meters away. That bloody mask of yours stinks. So can't you smell it? And I was going to make that comment tonight. If you go into a store and you do run into an asshole and they are complaining because you're not wearing a mask, step within this 2 meter range, sniff a little bit, do one of those, and say, geez, man, you ever take that thing off? You smell like shit. That may leave an impression. Just say, God Almighty. He says, look, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you stand 9 meters back, because you reek. The reason why I'm saying this is because I actually had that happen. Hold on a second. I was in a store exchanging a pair of shoes. I may have said this in another show. I'm just repeating it. And this woman comes up to take care of me, customer service rep. I'm 2 meters and 1 foot away from her, 7 feet away. And I could smell that mask. I'm thinking, good gosh. I think wearing a mask is causing people to lose their sense of smell. Snorting all those fibers and all that nano and all those chemicals, I think is damaging the nerves in their nose because they can't smell it. It smells like shit. You ever drive down a road, a country road, and you have a farmer spreading, pig shit or cow shit in the field? Oh, it's been sitting there for like 3 weeks, and now he decides to spread the shit all across his field. He's let that ferment a wee bit. It's what it smells like. I'm trying to back away from this woman because it smelled. So I thought, this is a great idea. I'm glad she did this. Not that I was glad to smell her shit, but I was glad that she did it. Because if someone bothers you, because they're trying to play a mind game on you, you don't know who's playing the game. You might have an agent, you might have somebody in there just being an asshole, and they're trying to play a mind game. I just walk up to them and say, God almighty, do you ever wash that thing? How can you stand breathing that? It smells like shit. I'm 2 meters away from you. I'm going back another 2 feet, and I'm still smelling that. You better go home and wash that, and you better go see a doctor about your nose. Put that into them. I don't think you should be timid. I don't think that's a hateful thing to be doing. I think it's a good wake-up call. If someone may object to the fact that it may be cruel, it's no more cruel than somebody trying to come over to me and trying to force me to capitulate and surrender my rights so that I have to kiss their ass. I'm not going to do that. We're well within our rights, and there's nothing going on anyway. And if there was something going on, it was the coronavirus. Well, 99.9%, hell, you get hit when you got the immune system back up. Oh, hey, I'm ready to go. So, like I said, I thought I'd share that tonight because I think people need to be armed. Instead of feeling intimidated going shopping, instead of wearing a mask so you don't want to have to deal with whatever. See, because no matter what your excuse is about this, I'm going to tell you to straight out, that's bullshit too. See, you've learned how to be bullshitted so much that you're now doing the same bullshit and not even realizing that you're doing bullshit. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how old you are. If you have the conditions that it says on the exemption, and even if you don't have them, you don't want to wear the mask, you don't have to wear a mask, you can just recite the religious beliefs. Then, you know what? You should stand up for your rights. If you don't stand up for your rights, and you suffer the mild inconvenience of debating with somebody, I'm ready to fight when I go out door. As soon as I go out door, I am ready to battle. It must be written on my face. The only thing people ever ask me is, where's my mask? I show them the exemption form, and they say, okay. And they all tell me the same thing. They wish more people had those forms, because then nobody would bother you. The only people that might bother you might be people in the store. And if they bother you, just show them the sign, and they still want to be an asshole. This is the number one excuse. This is the number one excuse some of the people say. Well, I got a health condition. I'm wearing a mask. I just look at them straight in the eye. Sucks to be you then, doesn't it? They look at me, what do you mean by that? Well, if you're that stupid, sucks to be you. If you got a health condition and you're going to agitate the health condition, man, you really are dumb. Wait, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you want to commit suicide? Sucks to be you. See, you need to hit them with this kind of stuff, because that's the only way they're going to wake up. You might get them to actually think. Some, you're never going to wake up. Some who have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker, they will never recover from it. Never. Never. If they're that stupid, and if they're that blind and that gullible, because they don't read and they don't research and they don't understand, all they're watching is the mainstream bullshit and not really looking at all the alternatives, and not being objective to thinking perhaps maybe there's something to the alternatives. Maybe perhaps there is something to the so-called people that are coming against the corona. And if you actually look at all the doctors and even the herbalists like myself that have been speaking about this forever, I don't get into a debate or oppose something just because I'd like to fight. That's not my way. I'd rather enjoy quiet as well, just like anybody else. I don't really want to get into any kind of major debates if I don't have to. But when something is this atrociously wrong, when something is this violating on our general well-being, altering our DNA, altering our genetic code, damaging our immune response, damaging our thymus, damaging our cells, damaging our DNA, then there has to be a voice. And why everybody complies so easily, I mean, there's several factors involved here. One is conditioning. They've been trained to be obedient little puppies. Here, puppy, 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 puppy. Here, oh, I got a little milk bone just for you. Sit, puppy. You know, that's one group. Another group has been blasted with frequencies, and all they hear is the voice of skull, or they get in the voice of skull. They don't realize the voice of skull is going on in their head, and now they're being petrified, and they're being frightened. And people are saying, "Well, that's bullshit. Oh, nobody's going in my head." These frequencies today on the gigahertz and terahertz levels can go right through you like you aren't even there. I'm playing around with heating bricks with the induction coils that I made, and even using a microwave, and I'll explain that in a minute. And when I'm pulsing those coils, I got an 1.5 inch solid rock. That field is going through there, and all I'm using, to be honest with you, all I'm using is I believe a 12 volt 5 amp power supply. That's all I'm using, and it's pulsing 2 coils between 2 bricks to heat the bricks up. Now, what I'm doing is I'm thinking in terms of shutdown, lockdown, and breakdown. Okay. And what I mean by breakdown is that they keep breaking down the system. They keep causing the small businessman to disappear, and they keep causing everybody to just basically go belly up. Then you're going to have to be innovative in heating your homes and heating your places, because they want people out in the street because they want to own everything. And they know damn well people like myself who've been working their asses off all their lives are not going to just give it away for nothing. They know that. And as I stated before, Canada is so down in debt. It is so low on the scale that it now has to look out of its socks. That's how broke we are. And we've been broke for a long time, and I've said this many a time, Canada is not all it's cracked up to being. There's only pockets of wealth in this country. The rest is broke. When you look at Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton, BC, Vancouver, Victoria, I didn't see a whole lot of wealth there. What I saw was people buying expensive homes, but worked in Vancouver. So Vancouver's a bigger hub. You know, St. John's, Newfoundland, and some of the other places out east that I'm not all that familiar with. You only got one major pocket, and the rest of the country's broke. The rest of the provinces are broke. And developing infrastructure and all the things that are required, because everything costs so high in this country, you can't get to it. I don't know why, for the life of me, why everything's so effing expensive in this country. Because there's nothing here that warrants this at all. At all. We're not building anything anymore in this country. It's all coming from China. So by the time it crosses the international border, it's been taxed 100 times before we even see it. So when we're looking at the way this country is being run, it has been mismanaged for at least 100 years, and it was done on purpose, so that it would never, ever evolve correctly the way it should. This should be a thriving, dynamic country that Canada is. We got resources, we got people that are innovative, we got people that are creative, we got people that are inventive. What we don't have is a supporting government that that bleeds us before we can even get started. You're so broke before you can get started here, that to make anything is very difficult, and you're working a lot of hours to do it. There's no way you're not working a long day here in Canada. If you're thinking that you're from another country going to come to Canada, it's going to be a nice, it's a nice, sweet life here. Get over that illusion. Whatever you're smoking, drinking, or inserting, maybe perhaps you should share it with us, because that's not a reality in this country. You come to Canada, you're going to be working minimal 12 hours a day or longer, depending where you are, unless you're working for the government or a bank. Even working for yourself, you put in long days. The thing about this country, the thing about Canadians as a whole, we don't talk enough to each other. That's the problem in Canada. We don't communicate like we should. And they have us all against each other because of bilingualism or because of taxation or because of whatever bullshit. The bullshit of the day is what they're doing in order to keep us away. I'm surprised Quebec hasn't said they're planning on leaving. I'm surprised Quebec says, we're going. We don't get more money. Or Alberta, we're going to leave. We're going to leave. Maybe it's better it does break up. Maybe it is. Maybe it's better. Who knows? Who knows? The point I'm trying to get across is nothing is what it appears. Ain't nothing. So don't get caught up in the delusions and illusions of Canada. Canada is broke. And that chart showed how broke it is. Okay, Our dollar is only good to wipe your arse with. That's about it. Nobody in the world wants our money. Everything we buy from outside of Canada, we have to use the U.S. currency. Why is it they want the U.S. currency and not ours? Perhaps because it's the global currency? Or perhaps it has some real value? Who knows? More value than ours? Who knows? Who knows for sure? So like I said, this is some of the things that we need to consider. All right, let's get back to the brick. The brick. Because like I said, I'm thinking about things going south and breaking down, shutting down, leaving town. All right, you're not getting enough heat. You're in an apartment building and you have limited heat, limited resources. But you have a microwave. You have a microwave. I know. I always tell people don't use a microwave. But in this situation, I'm going to show you how to use a microwave so you don't have to kill yourself. Basically, take a brick. Make sure it's dry. It has to be dry. If it's not dry and you nuke the thing, you could cause the rock to explode. So make sure it's dry. What you can do is let it sit inside your house for a couple of days unless it's been sitting someplace dry for a long time, and no problem. I bought these things and I've been putting coils on them and heating them up, and it's been drying them out. So today, then what I did is I put one brick in, and I started at 1 minute increments, then 2 minute increments, and 4 minute increments. And so the first one took 14 minutes. Now this one, again, because I was trying to figure out how far I can go. So make sure you have some leather gloves or some gloves that can handle heat, welding gloves or any kind of gloves that can handle heat, or a towel. So I picked it up, put it on a cutting board, which could take the heat, and I put two of them in there. The second one I ran at two intervals, 5 minutes each, took it out, put them on top, and what happened was those bricks heated up an area, probably about a 10 to 15 square foot area. It literally took the chill right out of the air. So all you gotta do is just reheat it every so often and you're good to go. So that's one thing you can do. Now, again, let me reiterate here. Let me seriously reiterate, those bricks have to be dry. If there's really any moisture in those things, you can create a mild explosion. Okay, so I got the idea, actually. I remember the idea years ago. My son and I were out west and we went into a sweat lodge. And what the natives did was really cool. They took a rock, they lined the bottom of this pit with all kinds of stuff you could burn, put the rock on top, put wood on top of it, and just set this thing on fire. And they burnt that rock all night long, probably for 6 hours. That rock was red, glowed, and it was almost transparent. That's how hot that thing was. And what they did is they took these big logs and they flipped it over and flipped it inside the wigwam that we're in, or the little teepee or sweat lodge. And we got inside, shut the opening, and the native ritual is to offer tobacco, which is a high honor offering in the belief. And it's clean tobacco, not this shit that they do. So the whole now inside smells like tobacco. So now our brains are getting really rebooted. It's really cool because tobacco, when you're burning, it's not the nicotine you get, it's the codeine. The codeine reboots the brain. So this is a real interesting ceremony. Then they put a little water on there. And I'm telling you, it's not even much. Probably maybe 2 ounces of water. The place now is hot. You are gagging hot in there. So people pray and ask for prayer. It's just like being in a church or a fellowship. And they didn't care about what you believed. It was wide open, and they did it 3 times. I only went in there twice because by the time I came out the second time, there was nothing left. I had sag. I mean, everything came out of me. There was a young fellow there. I remember he had huge, severe acne. Might have been nano at the time. I didn't know it at the time. This was years ago, probably 20 years ago. He went in there. By the time he came out the third time, he was clean. All toxins came out of him. Clean. And like I said, it's a spiritual experience because you are praying. Now, if you're a believer, you're praying to Jesus, you're praying to God, and whoever's praying and they're praying to whoever they're praying to. I like to think there's one God and everybody's praying to that God through whatever means, but Jesus is the way that most of us know to follow. So they prayed and got detox, and it's like the whole ritual is significant because you're going in weighted down with toxins, poisons, whatever it may be. And when you come out purified, which is really cool. You're coming out detoxed, you're coming out purified. And it's similar to the concept of, when you're born again, you come to Jesus, you're all weighted down, and when you leave, you're free and clean. Same idea, he takes away your sin. So it was an interesting analogy, and I took it as that. I thought this is really interesting. You walk in and you pray and you ask for help, and at the same time you're also going through a ritual detoxification, purging and purifying the body as well as everything else. So when you come out, you're renewed and you're refreshed. And I thought this was a really good concept. So I got the idea from there regarding the heating up the rock and using that heat again to cover an area to keep warm. So if things go bad or you're really down and out, that's one of the things you can do. And I did, and then I was doing it with coils, but the only problem with the coils is you have to have a pulse. I was running I ran a power supply to a flash unit to a capacitor to a coil, which boosted up the power a little bit, but not enough. So I need a stronger power supply. So I'm trying to develop a battery system. So if we can't plug in an adapter, I'm using, like I said, I'm using a 12 volt 5. I'm looking at maybe doing a 24 volt, running a series of batteries where I can connect it to that, where it will really power the unit, and may have to put a timing unit under and maybe some kind of a regulator switch so that it can pulse those coils even stronger, which will create more heat, and then will heat those stones, which then will keep the heat. Like I said, things I always work at and things I think about doing. So again, if you have an idea along those lines, or you can even modify what I just said, make it better, by all means do so. Share it with everybody. We got to see. I'm already thinking in terms of what to be doing, how to be doing things. I'm thinking the power supply is going to go down. Dark or what do they call it, black winter or dark winter. We are in a dark winter now. We are in a war. I keep saying we are in a war. Don't think for 1 minute we are not in a war. We are. This is a war to take over everybody, to control everybody, mind, body, and soul. And right now they're working on the mind. And unfortunately, the majority of the masses today in Canada, they haven't yet, it's growing. I will say this, it's growing. But they haven't yet gotten to a point where they have learned to become intolerant to this. So the intolerance has to manifest more. And the awakening of the mind has to awaken more as well. In regard to what do you see? What do you actually see? Someone sent me another email today about Manitoba. Manitoba and Saskatchewan, I think they held them for last. They wanted to try it out in Ontario and Quebec and the eastern seaboard and the west coast on what to do. And Saskatchewan and Manitoba were kind of behind, not like a few steps. Now they got Manitoba, and they got Manitoba by the short and curlies. And now they're telling Manitoba the same thing they were telling us in Ontario. The numbers are going up. Oh, their numbers are fat. Oh, geez. Oh, my gosh. Oh, we got a pandemic here. It's all horseshit. And then when you go to the hospitals, Ain't nobody there in Manitoba either. Imagine that. And if people are in the hospital, they don't have COVID. They don't even have corona, most of them. See, Black Winter. I was talking to somebody the other day. I had to go pick up a parcel. And we were talking about Black Winter. I said, you know why they're calling this Black Winter? Because this is the flu season. This is the normal flu season. And they're now going to scream the corona or the COVID or the COVID-21, the COVID-22, the COVID-30, the COVID-35, the COVID-40, the COVID-45, the COVID-50, the COVID-55. Oh, the COVID-60 is, on the rise. This is the new cancer. This is the new cancer. They did the same shit with cancer back in the 50s and 40s and 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s, right up in 2000, 2010 to the current time. Oh, cancer's on the rise. People are dying from cancer. Oh, the numbers are just exploding. What are we going to do? 220 some odd cures for cancer. What are we going to do? We're going to give them chemo. Let's kill them off. See, the medical institution is not there to help you. They are there specifically to cull the herd. They are there specifically to make sure that the numbers in the population will only grow at a certain rate. That's what they're really there for. They haven't cured anything. What have they cured? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, how many people have died under the health care of the allopathic field today? How many? The numbers are innumerable. You can't even begin to count the bodies that they have slaughtered, murdered, and butchered. You can't even begin to count. And this is what everybody is putting their faith and stock in today. A system that has the most abysmal record of success when it comes to actually helping somebody heal. They have an A1 rating for treatment. They will treat you right to death. They will treat you to death. They're sort of like the Chinese. The Chinese can't build anything good. It doesn't last, and it's half-assed. The medical system is about the same. It's all half-assed. Hardly anything is done right, and on top of that, they give you drugs. Drugs to further addict you, further causing more destruction and dysfunctionality to your system, disrupting your DNA, disrupting your cerebral cortex, disrupting your central nervous system. They are there. They are there to do their job. Their job is to kill you. Their job is to kill you. It's a wonder how God made our bodies. It's a wonder how God has designed us to be able to withstand just about almost anything. And what doesn't kill us does make us stronger. This is all by divine design. This is amazing when you think about it. Divine design. No matter how hard the devil tries to kill you with the allopathic field, God's design still stands strong. Eventually we do die. Eventually, I think that's God's mercy, to be honest with you. I believe that's God being merciful for us, because who the friggin' blazes would want to stay on this shithole any more than they have to? It's a shithole. A beautiful blue and green planet, provided it is what they're showing us. You always see pictures of the Earth and it's all blue and green. Well, it may not be blue and green. We really don't know what it looks like, because they've never taken a satellite shot of the Earth, have they? They never, one guy sang a song. Well, all the satellites they sent up in the sky, you think they would turn around and take one shot of the old terra firma. Never happened. And all those pictures we're seeing are some sort of, some Adobe special effects stuff, So like I said, we are in a shithole because those in charge turned it into a shithole. Just so they could make money, just so they can control the population, just so they can keep the population growth below a certain number. Oh, well, if you died, we feel so sorry for you. Sucks to be you. You're gone. Next. Come on down. You're the next contestant on. Let's inject shit into your body. See what happens to you. And how long it'll take for you to die. Remember that show? I kind of changed the word, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. Come on down. We'll steal your life. Just bend over. It'll all be over in a moment. There's got to be some correlation when God said, if you eat of that tree, you will die in that day. It makes sense. But I'm not looking at that specific thing. But when you partake of the allopathic anything, in that day you die. In that day you begin to break down. In that day you become sick. You get a vaccine, you are going to be dying. Every time anybody's gotten a vaccine, they don't look too good after they get done with them. Hey, you look like hell. What happened to you? I went and got a shot. Oh, really? What'd you get a shot for? Flu. What do you got going on? I got the flu. That shot really worked well. I went and got a flu shot so I wouldn't get the flu. See what I mean? They got everybody's head so twisted with bullshit. We're living in the age of bullshit. Here we're telling everybody we're going to give you a flu shot so you don't get the flu, and then you get the flu. And you know what's the most insane thing about all this? It's the program that runs. Because after you get the flu shot, you say, oh, I swear to God, I'll never do that again. I felt like hell for 3 weeks. Or I felt like hell for a year, whatever the case. And then what happens is you hear this nonsense about, oh, we got this corona bologna, and it's going to kill everybody. Oh, you got to get the shot. You got to get the shot. Oh, get the shot. Save yourselves. It's still so horrible. And you fall for it again. And then you don't read that the coronavirus has got a 99.9 survival rate. You don't need a shot for that. Even the doctors are saying now they got their ACE card is slowly dying out. They can't sustain the ACE card. Corona 2021 right around the corner. Corona 2022 right around the corner. How long? How long will this bullshit keep going on? What's even worse, how long will you keep believing in this bullshit that keeps going on? It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Nothing's new under the sun. Nothing. The same shit was done way back in history is being done today. The only difference is today they're more efficient at it. They have had more time to practice. They've got it worked out now. They know that people are stupid. Because the CIA did its job really well by introducing doctrines and dogmas that stupefied people, and now they know they've got them right where they are, want them to be. The things that most people say most of the time are usually biblical, but they reference it to something else. I find that almost amusing sometimes. But anyway, why are you, again, let me reemphasize, why would you believe these bullshitters? If you want to call this show anything today, this is the show, this is the age of bullshit. This is what we got to really call the show, the age of bullshit. Because we are in that age. It's hard because even when you go to a pulpit, church, a temple, a synagogue, a gathering, even the people that are preaching whatever message they're preaching, most of them, if they're on mainstream media, they're preaching nothing but bullshit. The way it goes, just bullshit. It's sad to say. It really is sad to say, but that's what it is. And you know what? As I often said many a time on this show, there'll be more for us because a lot of them are going to be dead. Like I said, when you walk into a place and you smell a mask from almost 7 feet away, something's wrong with that situation. Go and check up on that Wimkin site again. I put more stuff up there. I mean, you're going to see more and more stuff. Some of it's going to be amusing. I got one there about the planet Earth. It's not round. It's not square. It's not flat. It's screwed. We'll take a look. The Portuguese courts have ruled that the PCR test is not reliable and quarantines are illegal. This may set the precedence in Canada. So we'll have to see. I told you about Canada so broke that it's looking out of its socks in order to see daylight. You know. Wait till you see the thing going on. And then on top of that, Canada, the government, is taking our money, investing it in China. So we ain't got nothing to do with it. All we have left are the pensions, and they're burning through that like there's no tomorrow. Imagine that. Oregon is also acting illegally. People in Oregon need to wake up, or you're screwed. So go take a look at the link there. Talking about China leading the travel, leading the way for travel, free trade. Imagine that. Now there's something you can do to the doctors, and they have an association here. I posted this tonight. I just got this today too. That you can go and file a complaint to the health ministers in your locale. They will have to look at this. They are complied, but they're under their own their manifest. They are compelled to look into all these complaints. Imagine that. There's a PDF on the emergency response in Australia, and everybody needs to read page 30. Especially if you're down in Australia and you're listening to the show, look at page 30. They can come in your house and take away your kids. Guess what, Canada? Oh, Canada. See, they have sabotaged everything. Everything. They have sabotaged everything on every direction. In regarding to wear the mask. Now you're wearing the mask, and now there's a possibility that your children may get sick because you're wearing that mask. And that mask is releasing all kinds of shit, and you can smell it. And now you're endangering your family because you're kept indoors. I mean, this is a pandemic by design. They have created the pandemic from hell. Wear your mask, stay inside. Now in Windsor we are code orange and Toronto's in code red. Who the bloody hell gave these people any permission to do any of this shit in the first place? This is what gets me. I didn't give them permission. Last I checked, I could be wrong, but the last I checked, we paid these bastards their wages, unless Bill Gates paid them their wages. Maybe that's why they're doing what they're doing, because now they're working for Bill Gates and not working for us. We got 18 million or something like that in Ontario that these government officials are working for, and they're not listening to us, and we're paying them their wages. If this was any place else, we would be able to fire them. They should be fired. They should be fired. Mismanaging the affairs of the province. They should be fired. And we should look at seeing about how we can get these bastards fired. Get them fired. Because what's going on, there's absolutely no reason this should be going on at all. At all. If you want to believe in the boogeyman that doesn't exist, that is your affair. But this is where I draw the line. If you want to believe in the boogeyman that doesn't exist, and you want to wear the mask and wear the hand condoms and stick your hands in methanol-based alcohol, you feel free to do so. Don't impose your bullshit on me. That's the only thing I'm going to say. What the government should have done is said, well, this is what we got going on, and, you want to wear it. If you don't, you don't. People would have put it on, and that would have given them a better idea who would be so much easier to comply. Because the rest of us that weren't going to wear a mask wouldn't wear one. Anyway. So, but they didn't do that. And what's going to happen more and more as these people keep on listening to the media and get all defensive because you're not wearing a mask. You need to explain to them that boob box is what it is, a boob box. It stupefies people. Can't think. And if you go online and read the same thing that you're watching on television, that's not doing anything. That's not doing any research. That's just basically validating the bullshit. So again, and some people you're going to be able to reach, and some you can't. Those you can't, oh well, more for me. That's how I look at it. I don't sweat it anymore. I don't get caught up in anything. I don't get caught up in anything candy coating anymore. The way I see it is this: we are at the stage of war right now that if they don't want to listen, I will share the evidence with you. If you don't want to listen, you're on your own. You are on your own. Let me talk about New Brunswick real quick. New Brunswick has withdrew their vaccinations due to the side effects, death and side effects. Oops. I thought vaccines were safe. Imagine that. Now, this is how many times have we heard a recall from vaccines? Korea just withdrew the same vaccine. They had people that died over there from this shit. And they want you to take the COVID because now they manufactured all this COVID and you're going to get it. Oh, no, you can't say no. If you say no, we'll lose money. Bill Gates will go broke and lose his mansion. He'll lose his Bugatti. He'll lose his... A buddy of mine likes Camrys. I said, real car's Bugatti. You know, it's one of those opinion things, right? So I'm using Bugatti here with Bill Gates. He wouldn't drive a Camry anyway. He would drive a Bugatti. He'll be hearing this thing. Yeah, right. Anyway, Bill Gates will lose his Bugatti. He'll lose his house. He'll lose his mansion. He might lose his, whatever that thing is he's married to. I don't know if it's a man or a woman anymore. I'm confused. It looks like, but it doesn't. Like I said, ho ho ho. Anyway, like I said, we're living in a bullshit age. You've heard of the golden age, the silver age, the copper age, the bronze age? Clay and iron age? Well, we're in the bullshit age. We're one below clay and iron. That's really bad. See, that's where it's going, though. That's where it's going. We're now at the clay and iron section of the Bible, technology and biology. Carbon and silica. That's what we're talking here, carbon and silica. So carbon integrating with silica, or vice versa. And now, when you get to that, carbon and silica, all you got left is a circuit. No flesh, no blood, just a circuit. And when you get into the bullshit, that's one below that, all you got is Goyim material to use it any way you see fit. Fertilizer, extrapolation, removal, integration, whatever you want. That's where it's going. Clay and iron, then bullshit. I'm not adding anything to God's words. Don't give me, you're adding. No, I'm not adding nothing. This is an opinion based on what I see and how I research. God's word is the final. Doesn't matter what anybody else says, that's final. So we get that straight. Anyway, and monitors. Okay, we know about monitors manipulating the central nervous system and the brain. Well, your monitor can be doing that because they can fire frequencies through your monitor, hitting you. Again, you wouldn't know this is going on. It would be subjected to whatever frequency going into your head. And you know how sometimes you get up and you go to do something, and you go do it. You don't know why you did it. Like, what did I do that for? That's because you've just been hacked. That's what that means. You've just been hacked. So like I said, wear your yellow lenses, or don't watch any television at all, or take breaks. Take breaks from doing some heavy research. Alrighty, as per usual, I'm going to call it a day here and let you know that we got people on the Podbean site, Brian396, Sherry Three Hearts Church, Yanni, Ty, Shai in Israel, myself. All of us are out there doing our thing to help you, overcome some of the things that we're dealing with in this life, in the shithole, I call it. So if you can help them any way you can, please do so. Help them in any kind of financial way you can see possible. If not, you can't help them financially because you're broke. No big deal. It's the way it goes sometimes. Share the messages. Share them with everybody. Talk to everybody. Share them with all your friends. Share them across the planet. Maybe perhaps we can stop this madness on a global level. Can you imagine that? The whole planet saying, Chuck, you Farley, we're not playing this game no more. That would be something to see, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be something to see? Anyway, check them out. I always mention as well at the end of the shows, read the Gospels, read the Gospels, read the Gospels, read the Gospels. Or go read what Jesus had to say. Don't allow somebody to manipulate your head. Don't let somebody try to, give you their thinking in terms of what they think something means. You read it, interpret it the way you see fit. Ask the Almighty to reveal His Word to you and go from there. That's the best solution I can give you. I haven't gone through the mill myself with cults and churches and TV evangelicals. You get to a point where you almost want to give up because most of that is just, again, part of the bullshit age. So what I'm saying to you is reading the Gospels, because that is about the only thing you really have. Because when you read something saying it's black and not white, and you go to a church and they're saying it's white and not black, or it's gray, then there's a conflict of who the authority is. So that's what I'm saying. Go read it for yourself. Don't let nobody bullshit you on that. Period. And as I always say too, check out that Wimkin site. It's on the Podbean. Feel free to check it out. And as I always say, we are still here by the grace of God. So in order to maintain a more perfect union, stay in touch with all your close friends and your associates, those who are awake. Make whatever you can to make that happen, and look at again your ham radios or whatever means of communication we can get to sustain the connection. All right, till the next segment. To your health. Take care.